to the doctors, read the inserts. If you're going to prescribe something, you'd better know what it is and its side effects. And you haven't gone through the experience, so parents know best.
We on Periscope know that they don't know equals vaccine injury.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So if you want to go through 10 years of testing and listen to the mainstream doctors, this is what it's like.
Yes.
All right, at the long last, we get the interview of the beauty herself. You going to do this yourself?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna come back
Mostly.
up.
Mostly.
Do you mind if I put my feet there, like
No.
this? But if I do this, because my back kind of feels better like that, is that okay?
There you go.
Yeah.
We all good? All right, speak nice and loud.
Okay.
Is that good?
That good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the day before I was born, I had a failed stress test.
What does that mean?
She's
I
gonna
didn't
start out
respond.
big.
You did what?
Go ahead.
I didn't. When they tested
Yep.
to see if I would move, if I didn't.
So when she was still in utero.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So the pregnancy was induced the next day, and we were basically not given a choice. So she was born at 34 and a half weeks. A little bit early, just because she was not moving during this non-stress test.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I did not have a hepatitis B at birth.
It's very,
No.
very important.
Yes.
Shocking, really.
Do you know why you didn't?
Best of my recollection is we were offered and declined, and then at 2 months she did have it, and
Yeah.
we started. Everything kind of went to heck in a handbasket between my son and Lene,'s issues, development issues. Yeah, because we have 2 affected children.
So I fell asleep easily when I was a baby.
Yep.
So I had difficulty eating because I fell asleep while eating. So I wasn't gaining weight much.
Yep.
So and then we had the recommended schedule up for until 6 months, right?
Nope.
No, 4 months. Recommended schedule, then we split until 15 months.
Yeah.
And it's old. And at 7 months, I had a physical therapy evaluation, and they suggested that I should do it 30 to 40 minutes weekly, and then I was discharged 2.5 years later.
So she already had issues starting about 6, 7 months. She could only roll one direction and would only make the effort to roll one direction. So she was already showing delays, gross motor delays.
And what did the doctors think about that? What did they say?
It's just, this is what we do. We never really got an explanation or a reason why. And it was just, this is how we're going to address it. The reaction instead of the proactive.
Mm-hmm. So, and then at 13 months, I was cruising furniture with one-hand assistance, but I had AFOs.
Huh?
So, orthopedic foot orthotics.
Yep.
Basically plastic that goes along your feet to help support it, because my ankles collapse sideways and then I fall.
So
And
my
we
joints-
still aren't telling you why this is, what the
No.
diagnosis is.
correct.
They're just
Correct.
saying what?
So
What are
at
they
this
saying?
point, she had already had, by the time she got the AFOs, she had already had a lumbar MRI, so a lower back, looking for any explanation like paralysis, because the lower half of her body just wasn't as strong as it should have been at that age, despite being in PT for already 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then shortly after the 13 months, around that time, she also had a head MRI to look for any neurological explanations for the delays. And both of those came back normal.
So at 18 months, I was walking independently, still with my AFOs, and I have AFOs still to this day. So I have, in October, October 2005, I had a speech evaluation, and it was recommended 1 hour a week when I was 6 months old.
No, not 6 months
Huh?
old.
For 6 months, though.
For 6 months,
Yeah.
yes.
And I had, because I had delays in speech and motor skill. So, and then...
Then what? So then we had already spent a week or 3 days at Mayo
Yeah.
for a workup to see if we could figure out what was going on. And that came back with nothing. They decided to do an EMG, muscle biopsy, frozen, not fresh. And neither one of those told us anything more about what was going on. The muscle biopsy did show an inflammatory process, but they dismissed it as a localized reaction to a recent vaccine, which would have been over 6 weeks. So I don't really, in retrospect, I don't really buy that.
No.
I wonder if it's more of the starting of the inflammatory process that she still has going on today,
Yes.
10 years later. Then what else?
And then in August of 2006, I had a sleep study for shallow breathing, and later I got a BiPAP. Or a year.
You got a what?
Helps me breathe overnight.
So she wears BiPAP at night?
Yeah.
To help her breathing so that she is exchanging oxygen and her muscles don't have to work as hard, so that basically the machine breathes in and out for her.
Mm-hmm. And it
But
helped.
you didn't get that until 2014.
Yeah, a year ago.
But she had
Yeah.
early signs of the shallow breathing and has kind of struggled with sleep through since 2006.
And then in 2006, I began a daily nebulizer treatment to help break up mucus. And
Nothing. It's good.
I had physical therapy until September 2007, started in April.
So April to September, yep, more PT.
And more PT.
More PT.
And I had in 2008, I had an ER visit for a bug bite swelling.
So that was another kind of early sign that she had an abnormal inflammatory process going on. That
The
we
people
didn't
are asking me,
recognize.
what's her diagnosis? What we don't know. That's the whole point. We're working up
We
to
have-
it.
we have-
We're
we
getting to it. She's going to tell us.
We have some
But right
pieces, pieces along the way, but we still don't have a all-encompassing diagnosis that explains everything, with the exception of a vaccine injury.
The whole point is they don't know. They don't know. Testing. We on Periscope know that they don't know equals vaccine injury. It's the same.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So if you want to go through 10 years of testing and listen to the mainstream doctors, this is what it's like.
Yes.
All right, carry on.
So in 2009, I had a mito evaluation, in which mito is mitochondrial disease, where my mitochondria don't make enough enough energy to function, and I have myopathy 1. So in the first stage, my mitochondria don't work as well. Some do and some don't. So, and now here's where it gets interesting. In September, I was trying to start school in a public school. Now, I
Yep.
got sick the first week of being in a public school. So, and then they wouldn't let me back in because I had trouble regulating my temperature. So, Mom said, enough of that, we're going to an online school.
So her brother had already started
Yes.
the online school after a charter school had changed locations. And so we automatically just enrolled her instead of fighting with them about and arguing with them about medical issues.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to recognize that the dysautonomia and poor temperature regulation could be ongoing and not just resolved in 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that it wasn't really an illness, it was poor temperature regulation.
They wouldn't listen. So, And then in 2011, we coordinated a home IV infusion service so that they come to our house to do the IV infusion when I get dehydrated instead of going to the hospital
Nice
and
job.
getting exposed to all those things.
Nice correction. So, IV hydration was key for Lene until we figured out the inflammation piece.
Yes.
And now, with the inflammation piece, she hasn't had a mito crash in over 2 years, almost 2 years, which is huge because she would be inpatient for 3 to 5 days, just for fluids.
So, and then in 2012, I got my power chair for long distances because I can walk, but not for long distances. Like
So, what would be long distance?
anything longer than a block?
Anything longer than a block or about
Yes.
15 to 30 minutes. She
Mhm.
can't sustain the energy. She doesn't have any reserves to fight off infection on top of the daily function.
No.
Is that going to get better? Can we improve that?
Well, now I can walk around the block.
She
So
used
it
to
is
not.
getting better.
So it's going to
She used to not even be able to walk around the block.
Good
So
stuff.
she could watch. She could walk like down the block of our house and back, like a regular city block. But she couldn't walk around basically 4 blocks around to take the dog for a walk. And now she can do that. Now
Yes.
both kids can play outside for an hour, hour and a half in the backyard. So it's because it's stop and go activity, not constant activity.
Yes.
But neither one can run a marathon or even anything like 500-yard dash that they do in 9th grade. I mean, nothing even close to that.
So, and then December of 2012, I got dehydrated, and so the home infusion service came out, and three nurses tried to get an IV in of 4 attempts, and they couldn't. So we still ended up going to the hospital.
And these are the things that
How old are you
stick
at
out
this
in
point?
her
I'm confused how old you are.
12.
age. No, well,
No,
you're
you're
12
12
now.
now.
Yeah.
But at this point, she was 10.
Okay, got it.
And I was ill 4 weeks in total, with an ER visit for 3 days in short
So
stay.
it takes her that long to
Yes.
recover from an illness or dehydration to get back to baseline.
And we will recommend a daily nebulizer with a vest system, which is $16,000, by the way.
60?
Do you have
16.
you have to pay for yourself or insurance or what?
Insurance paid for.
Yes.
Okay.
So what the vest system does, it's a wrap that goes around me, and there's tubes connected to a machine that shake it up, so it shakes out mucus
Well,
out of my
it fills up with air,
Yeah.
and then the air inflates and retracts quickly, and so it basically creates a shaking motion that helps to loosen the mucus.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically used for cystic fibrosis and people that can't clear the mucus out, who don't have strong enough respiratory muscles, which is basically Lene's issue, is that
Yes.
her muscles are not strong enough to function every day. And so she needs help when she's sick and the vest is one of those non-invasive treatments that we have.
And then in 2015, at the end of the year, we added the BiPAP. Yes.
There you go.
Yep. And
12
then-
years of vaccine injury.
Yes.
And what's the official diagnosis?
Official diagnosis is
Is
mitochondrial myopathy
weakness Complex 1.
complex 1 deficiency.
In
Ehlers-Danlos, which is hypermobility, and GI motility issues,
didn't even
respiratory
get into GI.
respiratory issues, no cognitive
No.
delays.
It's a good part. Sorry,
As you
I
can
think
tell,
everybody
the
can see that.
personality. And really the only
Massive.
neurology issue would be the temperature dysregulation. She has significant food allergies,
Yes.
which basically rules our life. At one point she was down to 6 foods, and now she's back up to about 20 safe foods that she can eat.
For sure. So I'm gluten-free, casein-free, peanut-free, nut-free. Eat coconut makes my stomach go so.
Coconut is a no. What are the other big ones?
Okay, basically what can you eat?
So her
Brown rice wraps are good.
so
Oh, that's another one.
brown rice, not white rice.
Not white rice.
Literally no one should eat white rice, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But
brown
you know,
rice is
if,
okay.
if it's the only option, and a lot of carbs are made with the white rice or tapioca or potato starch or some of those
So
other
in
things.
small amounts, it's okay. Like if it's mixed with something else, like in a bakery item, sure, it's okay.
So she needs the carbs to help her gain the weight and keep up the
Yes.
energy, but they feed the yeast and all the rest of it. So it's a balancing act. And she's 12 and she has to know this because
Yes.
for her it's her safety.
Sure.
And then mostly high histamine foods I can't have. So foods that release histamines trigger my cells and they react.
So she's starting to have more and more inflammatory reactions with the food allergies and with exposures to stress that we're still piecing together. But after 10 years of seeing mainstream doctors,
They didn't help.
she's not really inclined to see anymore. So we kind of wing it ourselves.
Yeah.
And, we do the best we can. She's, functioning, but her and quality of life is the priority as opposed to getting that final answer or that final diagnosis because really we're going to treat, we're not going to use pharma. We're not going to use, any more invasive things like weekly IVs. It's just not going to happen after this much already in 10 years.
And what about if they want to vaccinate you ever again?
No vaccines, no biologics.
Has everyone got that clear? What's your message to the doctors?
To doctors, read the inserts. If you're going to prescribe something, you'd better know what it is and its side effects. And you haven't gone through the experience, so parents know best.
Nice
There you
job. Great job. Now, have you signed the bus?
No.
Okay, let's go and do it.
Okay.
Besides being adorable, you are extremely bright. Oh my goodness. It's really nice to meet you.
Okay, let's sign the bus. What number are you going to be? Let's go find out.
What
find
number? I know where I want to
out.
find it.
Okay, you need help getting down?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Boy, you know your stuff.
Brian can help you down. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
You can shut it.
4358. Thank you.
Sorry, I thought you just instructed.
No, we're good. We're good. Hi, Grant.
Hi, I think Shadow wants to see you.
Oh, hi, Shadow.
You get
This
up?
is my older son. We didn't get to tell Grant's story, but
We can do that. Does he want to come up and do it?
he does not.
He does
I
not.
can do that.
Do you want to do your story?
Fine. Sure.
Wow. I've been bugging him for a week, and he's like, no. It's
Shadow,
Polly
leave
D.
it.
It is Polly.
Great job!
Yes.
Oh no, well, who was I going to give a hat to?